Thank you.
You're welcome. I can't believe this is the first Kevin Costner movie you've ever seen. No, Clint Eastwood. First Clint Eastwood movie you've ever seen. Sorry.
I was going to say, I've watched Kevin a few times.
Anyone listening to this,
a lot in the last month.
I wish you could have seen the look that she gave me when I said Kevin Costner. She was glaring at me like I had a third arm going out of my ear.
I will be honest that in my lifetime I haven't seen that many, but in the recent months I would say I've seen quite a few.
No, this is the first Clint Eastwood movie you've ever seen. Yes?
This is true, yes.
Okay. So we talked about maybe watching some spaghetti westerns, and it hasn't come to pass yet. But I think this 1993 project, pardon me, even in August, I somehow contracted a cold. I'm getting over it. This 1993 project of A Perfect World, from El Paso production, Kevin Costner and Clint Eastwood in the two starring roles. This one was, I think it was, I don't want to say disappointing to American audiences, but a lot of people expected kind of an action movie because that's his repertoire. His being Clint Eastwood's repertoire. He had just come off In the Line of Fire, and he had all the Dirty Harry movies and all the westerns and all that. But this was a slower paced movie. I'll let you go through the storyline, but I remember when this came out, it didn't do terribly well.
Yeah, it didn't do well at all.
Except, I just found this out today. In Europe, it blew up.
Yeah.
It was amazingly successful in Europe, but over here, people were just kind of like, it was more of a character study, and I think that it's almost like Eastwood had such momentum for so many decades as an action star, and then he does this, thought-provoking, well-written piece.
Yep, I'd agree.
That, like, it kind of like hit the brakes on what his trajectory was. Not in terms of it not being a good movie. I love this movie.
I'd totally watch it again. It was really great.
But I think if you're going to see a Clint Eastwood movie, having grown up in the 60s and 70s and 80s, you're going to be surprised by it, which I think is why domestically it didn't do awesome. It only did like $30 million on a. I think that the budget was pretty close to that. But overseas it did like over 4 times that. You want to give it the breakdown?
Sure, I can do that.
All right.
Let's see.
It takes place. It's set in Texas in '63, and
yeah, I wasn't quite ready.
You weren't ready. See, you lied to me.
Yeah,
again. God, these women, people.
Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I've been ready, waiting.
In 1963, Texas.
Yeah. 2
convicts escaped from the state penitentiary in Huntsville, Texas, which is kind of funny because I thought it was Huntsville, Alabama. But it clearly wasn't.
Yeah.
But I know people who live in Huntsville, Alabama, so I was like, Huntsville? And then I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I was under the impression that Huntsville, Texas, or West Texas was kind of desolate. And this was all like green pastures and rolling prairies and very green.
Yeah, I forget right now off the top of my head where they said it was filmed.
They filmed it around, where's Joe Rogan's town? Austin.
Oh, yeah, that's right, okay. So 2 convicts escaped from a local penitentiary, and it says they are looking for food, and one of them stumbles into a house where 8-year-old Phillip Perry lives with his devout Jehovah's Witness, mother and 2 sisters.
There's 2 of them. Butch is,
And Terry, yep.
Yeah, Butch is Costner.
Kevin Costner, yep.
And the development of Butch is you find out he's kind of a brutal criminal, but he's not. Probably brutal is the wrong word. He moves to the beat of his own drum, but Terry is the savage one. And Terry initially tries to have his way with Phillip's mother, and Butch intervenes and thrashes him pretty hard. And you find out more about that interaction later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Butch is they're both career criminals, but Terry is a little bit more just kind of an unhinged. I would almost call him a psychopath, but Butch is a little more. He has a moral code, but it takes a while for you to see how it's framed.
I would also add that that Terry's character doesn't have a moral. What did you say? Moral code?
Yeah.
At all. He's very. I would probably say he's a psychopath. He doesn't. He's a criminal, but he does not care for anybody else. He's all in it for himself. It's whatever he wants. Whereas Butch, I think I don't know that I'd go as far to say, he has a heart, but he really does care for people, even though he's like doing bad things.
Yeah, I don't think really his. I don't know if I'd call him a free spirit either. He just has this. You find out that he was raised in the penitentiary system. You find out later that. Well, maybe we should probably backtrack this a little bit.
Yeah, we got a little ahead.
It's always hard to do a movie podcast about a movie without giving away you can talk about it, but until you see the tapestry of how it's shot and how the story unfolds, I almost feel like I love doing this podcast, but I still feel like it'll never take the place for actually seeing the product.
Yep.
Because you can talk.
Never.
You can talk about how these characters made you feel and what experience they took you through, but you actually have to see it unfold for yourself to really appreciate how it has an effect on you. So to take a couple steps back here.
So they enter this home.
Yeah, they enter this home, and Butch thrashes Terry, and they end up taking the son hostage. No, they do not hurt him, but they abduct him. And the cops haven't found them yet, but they want some kind of leverage in the event that the police do find them. So they abscond with this kid, Phillip, and at this point the film jumps to the second group of people that the story centers in on, that being Red Garnett, which is Clint Eastwood. He's a Texas Ranger, and he's tagged with being in pursuit of
the chief of the Texas Rangers.
The chief. And there's a couple other people in his crew. I can't remember who his number 2 is, but Sally Gerber, who is Laura Dern, it has been attached to Red's office, and she is a criminologist, as well as an FBI sharpshooter by the name of Bobby Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's Red's objective to recover Phillip and Butch before they hit the border, but and his relationship with Sally is a little, I don't know if I'd call it frosty, but it's not it's not quite oil and water, but they have different approaches to their job. Sally's a little bit more theoretical, and Red is very much a boots on the ground Texas Ranger, as you would expect from Clint Eastwood. And you find out as this dialogue develops between the two that Butch is a very intelligent guy. He was tested in prison, but he actually you find out a little his backstory about his mother and his father, and I'm trying to remember because we saw this about a week ago. The mother died, and he went to live with his grandparents, and he was doing okay for a little while, but he stole a car or something. He did something that ended up in prison. And what was the deal? Was his the old man just left, right? Or did he smack his mom around? I can't remember.
I don't remember either, but I can find it real fast.
He stole a car, and Red, as it turns out, was the arresting officer.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Butch was living with an abusive father, also a criminal at the time due to his age, and it being his first offense. He was supposed to get a lenient sentence,
yes.
But Red took out the judge for dinner and convinced him that the kid would benefit by being sent up to the farm for an extended period of time, which is where he learned how to be a career criminal. But we don't see any of that. We're just introduced to him as he busts out of prison with Terry. You may speak.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So another part of the story is, and another part of the story is that Phillip, the boy that they kidnapped, being Jehovah's Witness, never experienced Halloween or Christmas celebrations due to his religion. So when they go into a store to buy some groceries, Phillip sees a Halloween costume of Casper the Friendly Ghost, and he wants to purchase it, but I think they don't have any money to purchase it. I can't remember why he doesn't, but in the end,
I think because Butch had the money and he bought a couple of supplies and
things that they really needed.
Yeah, the kid didn't have any money.
And in the end, he does leave with the Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah, he
costume.
steals it, but we left over what happened with Terry, but without giving that away.
Oh, that's the part I skipped, because I was going to skip the Halloween costume bit, but...
Well, I don't even know if I want to give up what happens with Terry, but
maybe not.
A little earlier in the movie, there is it becomes clear that Terry may be in addition to all of his other nefarious behavior, he also may be a bit of a child predator, and Costner deals with that.
Yes.
But you find out after this Casper the Friendly Ghost costume stealing event, right around here, you're starting to learn a little bit about how Butch has a soft spot for children and mothers, and it all kind of ties back to what happened with his father.
Yep.
He had received during their road trip. He reads Phillip a postcard that he received from Alaska. And I always kind of wondered, was this from his actual father?
Yeah.
Or did Red write it and send it to him?
Oh.
That's pure conjecture.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was real or not, because it seems a little fuzzy as to whether or not, No, I think the stepfather. There was a stepfather. Was that right? And he was abusive, but his real father just split.
There might have been, but I don't remember reading about a stepfather
Yeah,
in the picture. Actually, yeah, now that you say that, I think the postcard was signed from a stepfather.
no.
No, the postcard was from his real dad?
I think that's what he believed.
Okay.
But after he left, Mom hooked up with somebody else, I believe. And that guy, yeah, because you know what, Laura Dern was talking about this when she was detailing his past.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, then the stepfather came into the picture. They didn't say much about him, but he smacked Butch around a lot.
Okay.
And that really kind of galvanized his view of
The father figure.
the father figure, and how how it wasn't supposed to be, how it should have been, but that's not what he received growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And the time that Phillip spends with Butch, it's this odd father figure kind of relationship building exercise, and that Phillip doesn't have that. His mom's a single mom, and she's doing the best she can, but there's no real male presence in his life. So Butch interjects all of these male kind of behaviors, not bad things, but he exposes him to experiences that he wouldn't have had.
Yep.
Being raised by a single Jehovah's Witness mother. Like
Mm-hmm.
They stop at a restaurant to get food, and the waitress hits on Butch, and they play around a little bit. And he sends Phillip outside, and Phillip's curious, so he comes back to kind of catch him in the act of messing around. And Butch is angry. He's frustrated, but he doesn't lash out at Phillip.
Yeah.
He explains,
That he was attracted to this lady and that this is what happens because Phillip would have never seen anything like that in his growing up.
Yeah, Phillip asked him, he's like, "Did you love her?" And he's like, "Yeah, I loved her." And it, for a child...
That's what they need to know.
He doesn't understand the difference between love and lust.
Yeah.
But in that moment, there's a tenderness, and he can wrap his mind around that. So I think Butch knows this is really all I have to say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't have to break down the nuance between the two things. Some of the other things he taught him along the way, just Phillip mentions that, because he's Jehovah's Witness, he can't experience...
Going to a carnival?
He can't go to a carnival, he can't ride roller coasters, he can't eat cotton candy, he can't go out for Halloween, no birthdays, Christmas, none of that stuff. And Butch is a straight up, he's almost like a greaser out of the 50s. He's like, "You're shitting me."
Yeah, he doesn't understand.
And to help him have a little bit of a more fun experience, he lashes him to the top of the car they've stolen.
Oh,
and they drive down the street. Out in the middle of nowhere. Train's going by. Of course, great timing. Hold on one sec. Okay. So, he lashed Phillip to the roof of the car, and he didn't go. This is a 1960 station wagon. He's not tearing down the Autobahn. He's going down a country road
with nobody and nothing around anywhere.
Him. But it's a number of scenes that are peppered throughout this movie where Butch allows these kind of indulgences that Phillip would never have access to, and as he becomes more kind of aware of his environment, Butch allows him to make independent decisions about what's right and wrong. And Butch kind of finds himself drawn into giving Phillip this kind of fatherly presence that he himself never had.
Mm-hmm.
They try to reach New Mexico, but they discover that the road they're on was never finished. And while this is happening, Red has commandeered. What are those things? Those a camper. It's one of the old silver campers that looks like a bean,
Like an Airstream trailer.
Yeah, it's an Airstream trailer towed by an old Ford truck or a new Ford truck, but it was supposed to be a campaigning vehicle for the governor, and they were using it because they have all these. They have radio technology on it, and
Fancy things, a kitchen, a bed.
yeah, and they're tooling around Texas with this thing to try and locate Butch and Phillip. And there's some comedic stuff that happens, especially with the they spot them at one point, and they turn this trailer and this truck around to try and catch them.
Mm-hmm.
But the deputy who has taken charge of the guy, or taken charge of the driving over the person who's responsible for the camper, doesn't know how to drive with a trailer and doesn't know how fast you can push it. And, no one's injured, but they wreck that. And you kind of find out that, you okay?
Yep.
You kind of find out all this backstory of Red being the arresting officer for Butch way back when. Go ahead, because otherwise I'm going to start talking about the family they bump into.
Oh, that's where I was going to go next.
Go ahead, because I was telling you about this before we watched this, and that scene always gets me emotional.
Yeah, that was so, as Jay said, they were trying to go to New Mexico, but they discovered that the highway they were driving on was never finished, so they can't really get there. And while they're continuing on their journey, they park the car in the middle of a cornfield and fall asleep. And while they are sleeping, a farmer encounters them. His name is Mac, and he inquires as to what are they doing in the middle of the cornfield. And Butch says, "We were just sleeping." And Mac's like, "This is no place for you guys to be sleeping. You should be.
Yeah,
my house is right over here, not far."
That's what's so funny about the 60s, the Southern hospitality. It's like you're some vagrant sleeping in a car in the middle of the field. You should stay in my house.
Yeah, and not only stay in your house, we'll give you a bed and a place to sleep, but we'll feed you in the next morning, and we'll send you off on your way when the sun comes up. So it won't be any something. What's the word in your journey? It won't affect your trip.
Yeah,
we'll make it quick. And it doesn't. Okay, so Mac takes Butch and Phillip to his house where his wife is and his grandson, and
they spend the night there.
They spend the night there, and he wakes up in the morning with this little kid in his face.
Yeah.
And
Phillip and the kid become fast friends
very quickly.
And
wife makes them breakfast.
And it turns out that Butch was raised in a dance hall in New Orleans, and the actual farmer, Mac, is more of he tends the field, but there's a farmer who owns all the fields, and he had gotten rid of his old Victrola
to get a new one.
Yeah, to get a new one, and he gave Dottie a number of the old records because he didn't want people finding out that his wife was half Cajun.
Lottie,
not Dottie. We should. You know what? Does it say in there what the name of that song was that they were playing? Because it has a lot of bagpipes to it. And,
it doesn't, but I can look and find that out because that was an interesting song.
It was an interesting song, and it while it's playing, Butch is dancing with Lottie, and the boys, like, they're hearing older music for the first time, and they're dancing to it and having a good time. And actually, we should have mentioned that before they start playing the records, Mac comes home after the Phillip and Butch have gotten up, and they're eating breakfast. And Cleveland, the little boy, is talking to Phillip, and clearly Mac has no parenting skills whatsoever, because he wants Cleveland to get out of his seat, and he comes up behind Cleveland and smacks him in the face. Instead of engaging him with a car, he just hits him, and it hurts Cleveland. He cries and he runs off, and you can see this just transformation beginning within Kevin Costner. You can just see the rage that wells within him, and you don't really have an appreciation until a few minutes later in the movie as to what's happening. But you're really digging for this song, huh?
Yeah, I love music.
So after the song concludes, again, this is the challenge in talking about movies, because this scene in particular is so worth seeing. The whole movie's worth seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But the build up to this scene is where you really understand. You really start to understand Butch, and you're confused by what his upbringing must have done to him. Because I'm trying to remember what happens. Oh yeah, Mac is in the other room changing,
Mm-hmm.
and is listening to the radio, and he hears a police report about a man traveling with a little boy,
Mm-hmm.
and that guy broke out of prison. And Costner comes in and just turns off the radio and says, "We're going to be leaving soon enough. If you say anything, I'll kill all of you." And that's the beginning of it, where you don't fully know if he really means it or not, because up until this point he made a comment earlier in the movie how he's only there's only two people that he makes this point later, but there's only been two people that he's killed, and they were both trying to harm someone he cared about. So when you hear him say that he'll murder a wife or a man and a woman and their grandchild, it's like,
that doesn't seem.
We haven't seen this. This is a demonic statement. So he comes out of the room, and Butch comes out of the room, and he's telling Phillip they have to leave, and Cleveland wants to play more with
Phillip. Mm-hmm.
And now, is it Clyde?
Cleveland.
No, the grandfather.
Yeah, Cleveland.
No, that's the boy.
Oh, sorry.
Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Mac is now fearing for his life, and clearly doesn't know how to manage emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and is telling Cleveland to get over by him, and he's not listening. So he grabs and pulls him over and smacks him a couple times, repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
And Butch just loses it.
Mm-hmm.
Just starts drilling on Mac, and you're gonna have to interject here, because even when I think about it, it's odd, because you almost see as this fight is happening, it's almost like you can see him progressing to a worse criminal. You know what I mean?
Yes, it escalates very quickly.
Yeah, and
his emotions get the best of him, and he's so angry.
He's so angry, and he ties everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
He ties up Dottie and Cleveland and Mac, and forces Mac to put his hands behind his back and ties him up. And actually, before he does that, he tells Mac to tell Cleveland he loves him, and he's not satisfied with how he expresses love, and he tells him to do it again. You remember this when he points the gun at him, and he's like, "It don't cost nothing."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think you can feel just in
very
the words
emotional
that he's pulling this from his own past. He's pulling this on from the fact that, like, you know, I had a father, and he never said this. It's not like you have to part with money or possessions or anything to say this. It's so easy.
Yeah.
And it's so necessary, and people don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they just leave.
Yeah.
Or they beat up their kid.
Mm-hmm.
And
it means something to hear that from a parent.
And you can tell that, like, Mac... this is really kind of the sad part, is that Mac... It's almost like he only got it a little bit.
In his life?
No, like, he understood... Like,
oh,
he
what
only
was that? Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think he really got it.
Like, he knew that it was important, but he didn't understand why it was important to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns the music back on that they were dancing to. And it takes...
Like nothing happened.
Yeah. And it becomes clear that he's going to murder Mac. But I'll tell you, this is the thing that always, like, this is why I think people should see this movie. Because of what he had said earlier when he made the threat that he was going to be leaving soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
If you call the police, I'm going to kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I kept thinking that, like, is he just going to do this to Mac, or is he going to kill the whole family?
Yep, I agree. I had the same thoughts.
And, like, honestly, I didn't know, because he made... You know, he bound everybody and he duct taped their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something else he did where you're like, I think he might murder everybody. And then there is a twist that throws a monkey wrench in the whole plan for Butch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this might actually be the spot where, if you haven't seen this movie without... Like, I don't want to detail what happens, but what happens in this scene with this family is it moves the story out of the house into another progression of the relationship between
Phillip and
Butch. And it's almost like sense got slapped back into Butch.
Mm-hmm.
We're nearing the end of the picture, and you say whatever you want here, but I think this, like, it's almost like this was the biggest learning moment for Butch. You know, he kind of had to. That thing had to happen for what happened in the story that I'm not going to reveal to anyone who hasn't seen it before. It's almost like he had to be slapped to his senses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, after the incident at the house, Butch and Phillip leave, and sorry, I lost my train of thought. Butch and Phillip leave, and we won't tell you what happens. But Phillip does something, and he leaves, and he thinks he's
in trouble,
in trouble. In trouble. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And he gets away, and Butch, I can't really remember now, finds him.
Well, he kind of walks.
Happens?
Yeah, he walks after him, and he's in no great hurry, and that's the funny thing is Phillip, like, has this natural instinct that he is in trouble. I remember this as a kid that, like, I remember once I went over to my friend TJ's house, and he had this tree out front, and there was this. We would climb it every day, and there was this one branch that seemed to have like a nick through it, like a nodule, like a portion of it was cut like halfway through, like somebody had taken a machete and hit it real hard years ago, and it had only partially healed over. And we would climb on this branch, and then one day I was out there with TJ, and this branch, I was hanging on it, and it broke. And I ran home. I was so upset. I thought I was in trouble. My dad brought me back, and I remember TJ's dad was Mr. Hop. Mr. Hop was like, "Oh yeah, it's not a big deal. That branch was gonna, like, half this tree is gonna fall off. It happens all the time." And then I remember thinking about that with Phillip, because he was so afraid that he was in trouble. And he wasn't in trouble. He just, like, Butch needed these things to happen to be able to talk to him about why he behaves the way he does. Like, this is the scene when he's walking after him, and he's like, "I've only killed 2 people in my whole life. One of them hurt my mom, and one of them tried to hurt you." So, which is funny to hear him say that, because you're like, it looked like you were gearing up, you were loading up the pipe, ready to, like, murder 3 people.
I think also it's I would say it's like it's telling Phillip's actions towards Butch at the end of the movie, because they had spent so much time together. You know, once he kidnapped him, it was the 2 of them, and neither of them had a figure or someone like that in their lives. So here was Butch's character with not a great father in his life, and Phillip having no father in his life and being raised by a single parent, a single mom. And then all of a sudden they're both, like, quote, stuck together and hanging out, and they're learning from each other who each other is. And, you know, Phillip is an 8-year-old kid, and Butch is an older man. And, you know,
it's like Phil is put in the role of a child without a father, and he's given a pseudo father.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then Butch grew up with no father, and now he's put in the role of actually being
a father. Yeah, exactly.
Father.
Thank you. Yep.
A kind of father. And you know, it's sad, because what's sad about it is that you can see how, like, necessary it's not a perfect match, because, you know, even though he has a high IQ, he's a criminal, and he's not really in the position to be a dad, but he has so many good qualities of what a good father would be from not having one. And I guess that's just even though it's a piece of fiction, that's kind of one of the tragic things about life, is that, you know, sometimes you have to go through, or you have to have an experience that is the antithesis of what you want, so you can become the kind of person that you would have wanted in your life for somebody else. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people, they grow up, they could have gone the opposite way that Butch went. They could have grown up without a father, and then an abusive stepfather, and just become like Terry. So, just to, like, I don't go in. I try not to go into movies being. I guess everybody is swayed to some degree by marketing, but I didn't see this. Even the poster for it didn't scream that it was going to be an action movie. I remember that this came out when I was it was my last year of high school, I know that. Even then, I like all charged up with testosterone. I still really like this movie. I'd recommend it to anybody, and whenever I've mentioned it in the past, most people have never heard of it.
I'd never heard of it, for sure. I'd never heard of it
I remember
before.
I was showing you clips of it, and you were like, Clint Eastwood and Kevin Costner. I'm like, this is a great movie. Mm-hmm. This is a wonderful movie.
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody out there who's a father and didn't have the kind of relationship they would have wanted with a dad at either all the way through or through any portion of your relationship with your dad, this is a great movie to see. Maybe to give you perspective as to how things can turn out. Not necessarily say your children are going to end up with a criminal who's busted out of prison, but you get people get an education from all different places at different times, and just because you have one bad example or one bad parent at one point in your life doesn't mean you're not able to learn from that and be a better example for somebody else later. Why did you get a little quiet? See, the Drambuie's kicking in. I couldn't even fit. I'm slurring my words. What's the matter?
Nothing is the matter. Okay. I just,
Was I saying some deep stuff there?
A little bit.
Uh-oh.
But also, I think that, there are several parts to this movie, and we discussed most of all of them, except, the end. Which, I mean, we don't want to go into too deep because we don't want to give anything away. But I will say that at the end of the movie, Butch and Phillip and his mom and the police team all, quote, connect and come together.
Yeah.
And I will also say, because I thought about this about 10, 15 minutes ago, the opening of the movie, because, people are always talking about, like, the opening scene of a movie. What movie pulled you in right away? And a movie is going to be good if you're hooked, like, right from the beginning. And I'm not saying that you would or would not be with this, but I like the movies a lot where an opening scene or second or third scene starts the movie off, and then the whole movie plays through, and then I've forgotten about that like a big beginning circle. Scene, and then at the end they like bring it all back together. I'm like, oh, I see.
Oh, you mean how he was just like looked like he was just laying in the grass with
taking
his
a nap,
hands behind his back, taking a nap.
So money's floating around.
Money was floating around, and then you see at the end, pulled back a little bit, a different version.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I really liked that.
Yeah.
It's a good...
He did a great... That was... I remember that from 93 being like, oh my God, this is... He shows you two different visions of what's happening using the same picture. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's other movies that have done... I know there's other movies
lots,
that have done that. But
I would say.
Whenever they use that, whatever that's called, that method, it's always effective.
Very effective. At least, it gets me every time. Yeah, I don't know. I liked this movie for a variety of reasons. But...
How'd you feel about Clint Eastwood? Because you've never really seen a full movie with him before.
No, I haven't. And I think, hasn't he done... I don't know if it's a few or several or more than that movies.
He's made a lot of movies.
No, but I mean... movies where he was the director and he acted in it. That's like something he does.
Do you remember there was a scene in Entourage where the crazy studio head gives Vinny Chase $1 million bonus, and they're talking about the next movie they're gonna put him in. And he's like, I hear Clint Eastwood, he just signs a deal with you guys for $70 million. He makes a movie for 30 and then pockets the rest.
Yes, I actually do remember that.
Yeah, so that's kind of I think that was kind of the rep that
Clint Eastwood gave off, yeah.
Yeah, that he was like, look, you're going to give me X amount of money. I'm going to figure out a way to budget it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then anything that if I make it for less, I get to keep the difference.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've heard, he's very economical with shooting. Mm-hmm. It's like, I hire actors to know how to act, so I'm not going to give you a ton of direction. Mm-hmm. I think he doesn't say action either. He just
shoots and goes.
He puts everything together, and then when he's ready, he just says something like, "Yeah, whenever you're ready," and then he just cuts it together. But I like hearing about anybody who whatever their product is. They're able to trim away all the fat and still make something that people want to consume.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, A Perfect World. You can get it for what, like $4 on YouTube?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Guess what? No recipe yet again. I'm probably pulling away from the recipes unless I find one that's really, really mind blowing.
I think the movie critique is the big thing for us.
Yeah, we want to. What I want to kick around with you is maybe, and not that I necessarily want to pull away from movies, but finding more things like soft white.
Oh yeah.
I mean, more. There's so much content that's not film.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of crap out there. But like filtering through stuff that doesn't have a big conversation either on Tubi or on YouTube that's worth learning about. And I'm thinking there's probably going to be more like tutorial stuff. Mm-hmm. But finding like soft white was a little unusual in that they were personal narratives. Mm-hmm. And to find something that's not like necessarily a teaching tool, but something that's like actual art for art's sake or narration for narration's sake. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, we'll keep looking. Anything else we have to promote or talk about?
I don't think so. Not right now, no.
Mm-hmm. We're going to find something to watch, and then we'll get back with you.
Yes, we will do that.
All right. Behave, or if you're not going to behave, don't get caught.